You didn't give up. Talk to us about what it feels like to be back here.
Yeah, I'm 10 years out, 40 years old. Gave it my all, but he's tough. I don't know what to say. He's really tough. Congratulations to him.
You think we'll be able to see you in here again?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back, watch the fight, make a decision, but Chase deserves this win. I'm really happy for him, genuinely.
Do you have a message to all the fans back home that are watching you?
It's better to try and lose than not try at all.
Lose is a word I never expected to hear from Andrew Tate. From a guy that preaches success and success only and says that if you don't succeed in everything you do, you're pretty much a loser bum. To being a guy who's clearly sympathetic now and understands that, you can't always win. I just think it's extremely comical. Now, for those of you who have been living deeply in the crevices of my butthole, Andrew Tate lost a fight a few weeks ago and he has had nothing but a flood of excuses, which we'll get into in a little bit, but before we get that far, let's break this down. Andrew Tate is a person who's preached that success is the only way to go. It's the only way to, live and move forward. And if you don't succeed in everything first try, you are a big loser. I genuinely don't have the time to put in every single time he said something dumb into this video, or this video would genuinely be too long to upload. But as a person who preaches consistency, as a person who preaches that you need to succeed in everything you do, I would expect better from him. Now, later in this video, you guys will see that he literally goes as far as blaming God for this because when you're brainless, you'll go to blame anything you'd like aside from, blaming yourself or taking on the responsibility of your own mess ups. I've been researching this topic all day and there has been a ton of famous people who have posted about this. There was people, for example, like Mighty Mouse or people like Joe Rogan who spoke out about this because it was genuinely almost fraudulent how much he spoke about himself and, how little he actually brought to the table when he actually needed to.
Is it fair to say that the greatest fraud check of all time happened on Saturday when Andrew Tate lost to Chase Damore? He should have never taken this fight. If there was any sort of doubt about him winning, he should have never taken this fight. And now he's going online and he's doing the babyface thing of like, and I'd rather try and fail. No, that's not who you are. Your persona has nothing to do with failure. Your persona is about winning. Your persona is about achieving wealth and success. Your persona is not about trying and hey, if you don't succeed, you gave it the old college try. That is the antithesis of everything that you have spewed. Miss me with the like, I'm proud of myself for trying. And I went in there against the champion who's really good. No, you didn't. You went in there and you looked awful and you failed.
Now, I agree with like 99% of this statement. I agree with almost everything he said except for one thing. I'm glad he fought. One of the biggest reasons as to why I wanted him to fight is because I wanted to see if, he's all talk, if he can prove, if he can back himself up per se. And another reason I wanted to see the fight is I genuinely wanted to see Andrew Tate get his ass beat. This is where I start agreeing with the clip that I just played. It's not the fact that Andrew Tate lost that pisses me off. I could care less. I'm glad you lost, actually. The fact that really pisses me off is the fact that there's still people supporting him saying it's, it's their journey, blah, blah. Pretty much everything that Tate said, just, reworded into dumber words because Andrew Tate can at least, speak and formulate his thoughts. His fans can't. And part of that is his fan base is very young, Part of that is most people that are, my age understand that he's just speaking bullshit. Even before this fight, we knew he was just spewing bullshit. Before this fight, Andrew Tate never said, it's okay if I lose. It's okay if we lose. Actually, in fact, he never said that ever within anything. He quite literally never had a moment like this, where he was down, publicly at least. Or maybe not since he's come back to TikTok and YouTube, I think it was like in 2020 when I saw him for the first time. Since then, he has not had like a big drop off, he hasn't had like a big like down moment, where he's knocked down. So this is really the first time we're witnessing something like this. And this is the first time he's really experiencing it. And as you can see, he's not taking it too well.
It's a difficult situation because in all fairness, he has positioned himself as the male who could never be beaten. Hard to kill, unbeatable, top G, the last bullet, and you still standing. That I'm the most dangerous man alive. I can never be beaten. That was the rhetoric for so long, and now he has to shift. Now it's no longer the unbeaten, indestructible man. Now it's at least I tried.
Now, as you can tell, people that are even close to Andrew Tate, for example, Sneeko, as you just saw in the clip, understand that at the end of the day, he had a persona per se. He had a character that he had to play on screen, and I do think he is extremely performative before, we continue. Most of the things Andrew Tate says, I genuinely don't think he means. He just knows that it's going to either piss people off and they're going to hate comment, or some people are going to agree with it because it's common sense. His whole entire persona is to be this tough guy, this unbeatable top G who, you know, no one can even compare to. And financially, that might still be the case. However, finances don't defy if you can defend your family physically, you know, obviously. I mean, you can hire bodyguards and stuff like that, which we've seen Andrew Tate has, but I never knew he needed them to this extent. It's a very tough situation for Andrew Tate. Understandably, I understand why he had to shift from being the top G, you know, unkillable, you can't destroy him in any way, shape, or form, to, you know, pretty much saying it's okay to fail, it's okay to do stuff like that, because you failed. You failed for the first time publicly, and you got publicly humiliated by a guy from Love Island. And I feel like I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but the guy who he fought, Chase Demore, is not some guy who's like a great fighter whatsoever. In fact, I think he might be the worst fighter I have ever seen. Well, second worst, because, you know, Andrew Tate lost to him. But Tate did partly lose because he's washed. However, I don't think it's an excuse whatsoever. He's posted countless videos of him sparring. Everyone in the comments was supporting him, saying how great of a fighter he is, etc. I mean, obviously he was fighting people that are 5'8", but that's not, the point stays. And I do think Sneako did come out with a ton of great points in this short video. I do think that he expressed the way Andrew Tate is supposed to be portrayed very, very well, something that I couldn't do. But anyway, get your assholes ready, because we're about to jump right in and do an extremely deep dive into the copium that Andrew Tate has started smoking.
I didn't even put this Christmas tree up, you know? The Pagani, thank you, motor company. Have you heard of them?
I'm rich.
They make Pagani automobiles. There's not many of them in the world.
I'm rich.
They cost around $5 million each. I have two. The Pagani company actually came and built me a Pagani Christmas tree and gave me Pagani presents to put underneath it in my Pagani penthouse, which was very nice of them.
What color is your Pagani?
Very kind. Because I'll be honest, I probably wouldn't have had a Christmas tree. I had other things on.
This angle I don't think works as well anymore. I think the wealth angle, the Bugatti thing really worked in 22. I don't think people care about that anymore.
I assume you didn't lube your asshole because you didn't expect that much copium going in there at once. However, this is pretty crazy. So this was a live stream Andrew Tate started, essentially talking about this whole entire thing. I'm pretty sure this was just a few days after the entire fight. And he's coping extremely, extremely hard. But Sneako really did get one of my main points out of the way right away. It doesn't work anymore. It worked in 2021 and 2022, as Sneako said, but it doesn't work anymore. People don't give a shit if you're rich because they already know you lied about, you know, pretty much half of your entire persona. One of his main points is that physically you have to be able to defend, you know, your wife, your kids from any danger, and, you know, he couldn't do that. He couldn't defend himself. I think him bringing up his money and his penthouse and his, you know, fucking Christmas tree into this entire stream, I think he brought it up for one reason. Cope. He expected some of his viewers to literally just listen to it and, you know, oh yeah, I forgot, he's rich. Let me just forget about what happened last night. As a man, the number one thing we do when we're insecure about something is we flex something else. My friend is super short and he claims he has a lot of money. Because when you're lacking in something, you make it up in another way. That's just what we do as men. Not to say women don't do that either. I'm just saying I'm not a woman. At least as far as I know. Who knows nowadays? And you might be freaking out already. You might think that's a lot of copium, but get your asshole ready for round 2 of even more copium going straight down there.
Muhammad Ali lost. Tyson lost. Champions sometimes lose. Sometimes the stars just don't align and you just lose. And you have to know that and you accept that when you agree to take the risk in the first place. And that is the barrier that prevents most people from getting anywhere. The what if I lose? What if you lose? I just lost in front of the world. Got paid $20 million dollars.
Oh boy, and is there a lot to unpack here. So to start, he compared himself to Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali. And I'll tell you right now, my brother, you are neither of them and you never will be like a fucking... You won't even be as much as their shit, let alone them. You're never going to be one of the greats. You're never going to be in any way, shape, or form because in order for that to happen, you actually have to be good at boxing. At the very least, you have to be mediocre, not dog shit. Now, another thing he absolutely has to do is bring up the $20 million he made from the fight. Dude, it doesn't fucking matter how much money you made. Even if you made $150 million, first of all, you're extremely rich. That shouldn't even be a flex. $20 million is not a lot of money for him, according to him. So why is he flexing that? He also brings it up to distract us once again from the fact that he fucking lost. I'm still bewildered that he tried to include himself in the conversation of Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali, for example. I'm still bewildered by that. I think it is extremely pathetic to say that one of the greatest fighters of all time lost, and you lost, therefore you guys are both the greats, per se. It is extremely cringe to start, and secondly, I've never seen a pipe filled this much with cope in my life.
Why did I get tired? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. The only thing that makes sense is that I was...
Because you didn't work on your cardio enough. That's why. You get tired because you don't... It's always your fault. I think, especially somebody always talking about accountability. Like that's why. I don't think he prepared for Chase the way he should have. He should have prepared more for a heavier guy. Whenever you see Tate sparring, he's fighting guys a lot smaller than him. Every sparring video, it's body shots with War Room guys or guys that are smaller. So Chase is taller, bigger, and has a football wrestling background. He should have been preparing cardio for a fight that was going to go that way. Should have been preparing for a fight that was going to be in the clinch and somebody who's going to use his expertise.
Now, quick shout out to Sneeko. I don't think Sneeko is the greatest dude, and I don't really know him very well, so if you guys are going to attack me in the comments, please give me a break. I don't watch Sneeko like ever. But to give Sneeko some credit, I think he's being extremely fair towards Andrew, considering the fact that him and Andrew are friends as far as I know. But I think Sneeko was right on point with this, right on the target, right on the bullseye per se. Andrew, you cannot blame gassing out on anything else other than your cardio. You didn't practice your cardio, you didn't practice things, and that's okay, that's fine. Just admit it. Like, no one would have, I feel like people wouldn't have been as mad about this if Andrew Tate didn't have a whole entire cope session. Actually, he had a lot of cope sessions. I'm only showing a couple of them. You should have trained more, you should have prepared more, and I think he trained for like 3 or 4 months. That's great, don't get me wrong. What did you fucking practice? One movement? Did you practice body jabs the entire time? Also, I didn't put this in the video, but his coach sucks ass too. He had a kickboxing coach for boxing. Are you serious, bro? So it is completely on Andrew Tate. You should have got a different trainer. You should have trained differently. And yeah, I mean, it's stupid. It is extremely dumb to say you don't know why you gassed out or you don't know why you got tired when it is shown clear as day. You did, you used all your ults in round 1. And those didn't do much. Your ultimates suck ass, bro.
Why was I not supposed to win? Is the world a better place now that I've lost? Maybe the win means more to Chase than it would have mean to me. Maybe Chase couldn't handle the loss. Maybe God decided, you know what, Chase has been through enough with mocking and things on the internet. Chase doesn't need the loss right now. Andrew can handle the loss better. Maybe God decided. Maybe if I won, we would have went out and celebrated that night, and Tristan would have smoked a bunch of cigars, and maybe he would have died 1 minute earlier. And maybe I get an extra minute with my brother because I lost. And if that's the case, then I'm glad I lost.
I think if you're going to go spiritual with it, it's probably, if you want to go that angle, maybe God wanted you to be humbled, because that's the biggest takeaway from this fight, is that it changes the angle that Andrew's been taking for so long. The top G, unfazed, indestructible, most dangerous man in the world. Now that this was a public loss, that same sort of boastful top G, that status has now been tested more than it ever has, right? You can't blame, it's not the Matrix, it's not the Romanians, it's not the Americans, it's not the British government, it's not the feminists, it's not the Jews. It was you. That's why you lost. So that's the, if you want to go spiritual, I think that's the only way to look at a loss, is that I needed this humbling.
Now, another great message from Sneeko. Once again, I completely agree with him on this. First of all, I am an extreme believer in God. God is great, and I love God. However, I do understand that if God was testing him in any way, shape, or form, it would not be by giving the win to someone else, because he could handle it better. In fact, I know that Andrew Tate isn't necessarily saying this, but I do think he is blaming God. I don't think he is necessarily saying this from the bottom of his heart. I think he's just saying that if it was just my hands without God here per se, then I would have succeeded. It's God that stopped me. I think that is extremely disgusting to say. I think, first of all, if you're a religious person, blaming God is just gross. It's, first of all, blasphemous. Second of all, we all know that Andrew Tate is not necessarily a good person, so him bringing up religion into this almost just seems like another whack-ass excuse, which is all it is. And bringing his brother Tristan into this really pissed me off because, dude, that is the dumbest shit I have ever heard. Maybe if I won, and then we would have smoked too many cigars and Tristan would have died. Shut the fuck up, bro. Also, I know I said I'm a firm believer in God. I am sorry for my language in this video. It's just extremely frustrating. And another thing that Sneeko said that I completely agree with is if God was really testing you, I think he would have tested you in a different way. And I think maybe you would have even understood it in a different way. Maybe you don't understand it that way. But I truly think that it's not because he doesn't understand it that way. I just think it's because he's genuinely just coping, which is what he's been doing for weeks now. Andrew Tate is a disgusting troglodyte, and I hope he just, he dies down on YouTube. He dies down on everything. I'm giving him, obviously I'm giving him a platform right now, but my platform isn't big. It doesn't necessarily matter. He's just a shitty person who cannot keep a single one of his promises, a single one of his words, and all, as we can tell, he's all talk. Now guys, I had a few sources for this video. All of them are linked in the description. Please go ahead and check them out. They are a lot more detailed than I am. However, I do want to bring awareness to this. I think it is extremely stupid, and I think if you listen to Andrew Tate on the daily, you should stop because you are unintelligent and you should become intelligent. I truly don't think that listening to Andrew Tate has any good sides in it. There's no good view that you could take from it, whether you're a religious person, whether you're not a religious person. He's just a shitty person. But anyway, if you're new here, go ahead and leave a like, go ahead and subscribe, comment what you think of this video, And once again, I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Peace.